Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, from Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, it's time for the PLE Event Center, where our host talks about the results from a WWE PLE event. And now here's the man to bring you all the results from the PLE event himself, Eric M. Lima. Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977, episode 2387 of the show. Back to life, back to reality. Just came back from work. It's been a long day, but I ended up coming home and I watched Evolution. That's what we're talking about here. I do apologize, folks, for all the mix-ups and everything else. It's been a crazy weekend to the point where I hadn't a chance to upload all these videos that you've seen. Now, forgive for the late uploads. I forgot to put together thumbnails for them and everything else. So my sincere apologies, folks. They will be my sincere apologies to you guys, and forgive me of that. Because look, it's been a great weekend, and besides, it's not every day you get to spend life outside your home for once. Nowadays it's like for me, my routine is wake up, get dressed for work, go to work, punch, work your shift, come home, and be on the computer all day. That's what it was for me. But and everything, and everything else, and that could be it. I'm not so sure. So, anyways, so we'll see what happens on. We'll see what happens when everything goes around. I'll tell you what. Like I said, it's been a crazy weekend. And I got a chance to go to the Whalen City Festival. I had a great and wonderful time. But it's now back to reality. That week's over until in about 2 weeks from this coming Thursday, where in 2 weeks from this coming Thursday, the Portuguese Feast will come up. But I only go there for 2 days, and that would be Saturday and Sunday only, and that would be it. So, and how about them Red Sox, though? 10-game winning streak, hitting up the All-Star break with that, and then I think this coming weekend Sox will be right back to work, as they'll try to. And the last time the Red Sox won 10 games in a row, they end up winning the World Series, and that was back in 2018. So will they do it again? I don't know. We got a young team with not much playoff experience, except for, I think, Alex Bregman be the only one, and Alex Cora. So the Alexes are the only ones with playoff experience. Will that help this young core team? I don't know. We'll find out when we get to if and when the Red Sox get to that situation. So let's talk about Evolution, shall we? Evolution, all women's pay-per-view, and all women's pay-per-view. A lot of dignitaries were there, representing the women's division of the past. A lot of them were there representing, sitting down, watching. And it'd be very interesting to see what happens tonight on Monday Night Raw, and after the fallout from Evolution and Saturday night's main event, and what the situation will be with Seth Rollins, and what the extent of the injury that he has. Hopefully it was not the same leg that he injured while fighting Kane a few years back. So, Joe Tessitore and Stephanie McMahon decided to kick off Evolution. Now, everybody's shocked about, McMahon still around. People like Stephanie and Shane. But, Stephanie was one of the proprietors, or not proprietors, but, one of the main supporters of the women's division. And, like I said, 10 years ago, they brought in Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, who is now Mercedes Moné, and Charlotte Flair to really turn that women's division back then upside down, and it has been like that ever since. You got the international talent coming in, like an Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Lyra Valkyria, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Kairi Sane, Asuka. at one time we had they brought in Tony Storm. They had you know, you got some of the ladies from Alba Fire, Piper Niven, international talent. You have talent coming in from the indies like a Fallon Henley, a JC Jane. They just recently brought in Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace, and Lola Vice, another international talent. Just lots of great talent in the women's division on all three brands, and it's going to be and it gets more interesting. They brought in Roxanne Perez, who's been phenomenal, in her way of possible. I know some women that have been released by the WWE. Some, I was kind of hoping like a Gigi Dolan or Shotzi Blackheart. I was hoping they would add a little bit more to the women's division as well, but it is what it is. So Stephanie McMahon kicks off Evolution and Joe Tessitore about the women's pay-per-view. And it kicked off with the women's triple threat for the women's Intercontinental title. Becky Lynch defending against Bayley. That's another one. Another talent coming in from the indies. And Lyra Valkyria and this was a heck of a matchup. And Becky Lynch ended up retaining the women's Intercontinental title. What's next for the man? We'll find out tonight on Raw. Meanwhile, Independence NXT General Manager Ava, who has been bringing up that women's division like crazy, and then you lose Julia and Stephanie McCare. Blake Monroe steps up to the plate. A lot of great next in line talent. You'll check Evolve, of course, ran by Stevie Turner. You got some of the ladies there. Callie Armstrong, who just recently fought Natalia. Now Jin Tala is coming into Rome. Start to come into Rome from LFG. This is a huge event, ladies and gentlemen, and talk about the future of the women's division looks bright. Avo is in attendance. Mark Henry, who is supporting the ladies, also in attendance. And then the Rita Repulsa of the WWE, Vicky Guerrero, because every time you hear her voice, you feel like you want to morph into a Power Ranger and defeat one of her monsters, including Goldar. Vicky Guerrero came in. I know a little controversy there why she's back in the WWE. A lot of people are saying that her new husband sexually assaulted one of her daughters, and one of, I think the middle daughter, Sherilyn, was it? And so you got that. Raquel Diaz or Shaw Guerrero decided to stay out of the spotlight in that situation. And it looks like Kaylee Guerrero wants to because she's coming on X, wants to continue her father's legacy. And her father, I mean Eddie Guerrero. So she wants to continue that legacy and support. But so right now I think a lot of people are still being like that towards Vicky, but there's some casual fans, they were high-fiving her, and casual fans respect her and all that good stuff. So you got that, and I know a little bit of controversy, but it is what it is. The NXT Women's Championship matchup, JC Jane went one-on-one with defending her title against Jordan Grace. Now remember, in a winner-take-all match at Slammiversary, the winner of this match will take on TNA Knockouts World Champ Masha Slamovich. And in a winner-take-all match, that means one person is going to walk away with both belts at TNA Slammiversary. And Jordan Grace, before the pay-per-view on the countdown, she recently asked Blake Monroe, who was there, to accompany her and be in her corner because you got offset Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix. She says, at first she didn't want to because she wants the spotlight to be on you. He says, you won't, but I need you just in case. And she goes, yeah, okay. And so they came out, and as of course in Fatal Influence fashion, Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix gets involved as Fallon Henley gives JC Jane the title while Jasmine Nix had the referee distracted. The referee, Victoria D'Erico, and that's one of the new female referees, very beautiful young lady. She keeps it up. She'll be joining Jessica Carr and Daphne LaShawn for the referee jobs, in joining them on the main roster. That's how much a good job some of these female referees are doing. We got to give them some props. Fallon Henley gives Jane the title, sneaks in the title, but then Monroe headbutts Fallon Henley. But then Fallon Henley recovers from that, and Jasmine Nix saw the women's title and decided to pick it up. And then Blake Monroe knocks her out too, ends up picking up the title. And she points at Jordynne Grace. You got this. I got it right here. And then while Grace and Jane kind of mixed it up a little bit, Grace went to go Irish whip her, but JC Jane reverses it. But then Blake Monroe hits Jordynne Grace in the back, and JC Jane finishes Grace off 1, 2, 3. And then all of a sudden, Michael Cole almost a callback to Jim Ross when back in '99 Vince McMahon accidentally hit Shane in the head with the championship belt. I hope that shot to Shane was an accident, right? Michael Cole, same thing on this one. But then I looked at, and then you can see the look on Blake Monroe's face. I said, "That's no accident, man. That's no accident." And then, yeah, JC Jane retained the title, and then Blake Monroe grabbed the belt and gives it to her, and then she turns around from that stone look and a smile, and she walks away, and Jordynne Grace looks ticked off. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow night in NXT. Jordynne Grace, if I were Blake Monroe, I would not show up, because Jordynne Grace, if you make a woman like Jordynne Grace mad, you're gonna end up in the hospital. Trust me on this one. Blake Monroe, sweetheart. It's like her backstabbing Tony Storm back in AEW. So I think she's having that moment, having flashbacks to that woman, and decided to do that to Jordynne Grace. This is gonna get bowling shoe ugly, and you know what? It ain't gonna be pretty. That's for sure. So, also in attendance, a lot of former women's champions and Hall of Famers. Jazz, whom we had the honor of interviewing on Rant and Rave podcast in the past. She was there. Jacqueline was there. Ivory and Maurice. That's right. Michael Cole considers Ivory an old friend, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm sure So Maurice is the woman that stole Mrs. Hart, and then Joe Tessitore, because Maurice brought her 2 little daughters, and then Joe Tessitore referred. There's the other 2 girls that stole Mrs. Hart too, and it's really cool and beautiful when the families get together and enjoy this kind of thing event. And then the women's tag team titles on the line. You got to remember now, Sol Ruca has an opportunity to make history here. If she becomes a women's tag team champion, she'll hold 3 titles, which would be crazy. The Judgment Days, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez defending them against the Kabuki Warriors, Kairi Sane and Asuka. And thank you, Romy. I'll be there in a few after I'm done here. Also, and so Ruka and Zarya, and then Charlotte Flair. Zarya is another international talent I forgot to mention. And Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. This was a heck of a matchup. The Kabuki Warriors, man, they were on fire. They when they came back, it's like they never missed. They never skipped a beat. They remind me a lot of the Jumping Bomb Angels. They were fast, lightning quick. All those other fast tag teams in the male side too. Asuka and Kairi Sane just looked like a clockwork in that matchup, and they were quick and all. But the only thing I'm very disappointed in that tag team matchup was never seeing an interaction between Zarya and Raquel Rodriguez. I want to see those 2 ladies go one-on-one. I want to see them go at it. I want to see how Raquel Rodriguez and Zarya would fare against each other in a one-on-one matchup. That's the only I'm only disappointed in that little interaction. But the Judgment Day, after an accidental spear on Zarya on Sol Ruca, Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez, Roxanne and Raquel picked up, took advantage, ended up winning the matchup, for their teams. So, and I think Raquel Rodriguez is kind of buying in. Well, how's Liv Morgan feel about it? We'll find out for sure. In attendance, Tori Wilson, who, became popular during her time in WCW. Now is a Hall of Famer, And another young lady that we had the honor of interviewing on Rant and Rave episode 200. That's right, my first wrestling crush, the lovely Melina. Well, she was there, full of smiles, and Molly Holly was there as well, and she's one of the main reasons reasons why I think Evolution's been put on. And Leilani Kai, who should be in the Hall of Fame, a former women's champion and tag team champion as a Glamour Girl with Judy Martin. She was there as well. And speaking of legendary matches, this one could be a generational dream matchup. Tiffany Stratton defending the WWE Women's Championship against Trish Stratus. Heck of a matchup between these two ladies. It's a huge opportunity for Trish to become 8-time champ, but in the end, Tiffany Stratton, after many counters, many holds, retains the title. Now she moves on against Jade Cargill at SummerSlam. And Trish was given an ovation and a thank you Trish chants. And I'll tell you what, Trish Stratus still got it in that ring. Fans chanting, she still got it. She still got it. I'm telling you right now, Trish is doing great things. Let me tell you. Then next there was the no holds barred match between Jade Cargill and Miss Money in the Bank Naomi. Now, Bianca Belair was a special guest referee to that for this matchup. These two ladies beat the snot out of each other, but in the end, Jade Cargill won the matchup, and now we'll take that momentum against Tiffany Stratton at SummerSlam in a couple of weeks. And then the women's battle. There was one close shave in that matchup when Naomi drop kicked Jade Cargill right into the announcer's booth. There was a television screen right in front and on the announce desk, and when she banged him into that, a little spark coming up, and like Wade Barrett said, because he was commentating with Michael Cole, that he's very surprised that Jade Cargill did not get electrocuted, and thank God she didn't. And so, but in the end, though, because that was a real scary moment. But, Bianca Belair checked on both ladies to make sure that they're okay and all that. But in the end, Jade Cargill's won the matchup. But Naomi's night was not over yet, and I'll explain why in just a few moments. This Battle Royal was crazy. The NXT women showed up and showed out. Let me tell you something. They never backed down. Kaylani Jordan never backed down. Lash Legend, Jada Parker, they started eliminating some people and all. And, Nikki Bella held her ground, which was huge. Chelsea Green's probably one of the one of the smartest people until she started, to getting too big for her britches in that matchup, because she kept on showing off and making fun of the legends and all that. And ended up paying the price for it. There was a sexy moment between Nikki and Lola Vice when they did the little hip shake thing. And then, of course, Stephanie Vaquer doing that devil's kiss move, or as Wade Barrett would go, bouncy, bouncy. I'm like, oh boy. Between Wade Barrett and Booker T, those two can't get enough of Stephanie Vaquer. And Michael Cole. When it comes to Candice, he's got his Candices mixed up. He keeps on calling Candice Michelle. Michael Cole, it's LeRae, you did it again. I'm like, oh. And there was a couple of times he called Candice, it's LeRae. Candice LeRae, I think Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae got to talk to Michael Cole about that. It's ridiculous. It's Candice Michelle, it's Candice LeRae. He got his Candices mixed up. One of these days, Candice Michelle actually comes back to the WWE and interacts with Candice LeRae. Says, let's go beat up Michael Cole. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it should. And Johnny Gargano better talk to Michael Cole or something. This is ridiculous. It's LeRae. My wife did not pose for Playboy. Candice Michelle did. I know. I just got it. This happened again. It's Evolution. I can see JBL. Michael, I believe you got your Candices mixed up there, Michael. That was a funny moment. So Stephanie Vaquer ended up winning the Battle Royal. Last eliminating Lash Legend, who was second. Let me tell you something about Lash Legend. If I were Ava, I would give Lash Legend a title shot based on that performance in the Battle Royal. And Ava was there. She ought to know. If anybody should face JC Jane, I say wait till after Slammiversary. The winner in that match should face Lash Legend at a later date for a title match. I think Lash Legend deserves a title match for the NXT Women's Championship. For her performance in that Battle Royal alone, it was very impressive. But in the end, Stephanie Vaquer won. So that means whoever's the Women's World Champ by the time... But whoever's the Women's World Champ by the time Clash in Paris rolls around, better be ready for Stephanie Vaquer, La Primera. Well, Stephanie McMahon interviewed Stephanie Vaquer. Two Stephanies in the ring. Let's see if Michael Cole gets those two mixed up. He'd be in major trouble for sure. You think the Candices were bad? You know, I'm so glad that Stephanie. He didn't get his Stephanies mixed up because that would be something. So Stephanie McMahon interviewing Stephanie Vaquer. A pair of Stephanies in the ring, and Stephanie Vaquer says, "Watch out for La Primera." So. Then the Women's World Title was the main event. Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, they've been having at it since the days of NXT. Alicia Taylor, who's been an announcer since her NXT days, announced this matchup. These two ladies went at it. Jessica Carr had the main event as a referee, took a female referee bump, and then during all that, while they were both knocked out, Naomi, of all people, decided to cash in the Money in the Bank in this matchup. Now, I'm shocked. I was like, because we talked a little bit about this. I came on late last night on the Brandon Martin live reaction channel about Evolution, and we were talking about women going at it. The two ladies going at it. Say, hey, this is going to be great, and heck of a matchup. And then Dan, aka Rebel Media, warned us that, hey, we got the albatross in the room, the Money in the Bank briefcase. So, oh, that's right. Because she can cash in either the Women's Championship. We all thought that even though she lost to Jade Cargill, she'll get her revenge at SummerSlam. If Cargill wins the title and all that, she'll cash in on Cargill and beat her then. No, she decided to cash in on the Io Rhea Ripley matchup, turning it into a triple threat. That means no disqualification. And, and Naomi hit the split-legged moonsault. 1, 2, 3. Naomi is your new Women's World Champion at Evolution. That is a big, big moment for her. And I'll tell you one thing, Io, I can't help but Io having a little bit of karma. Because remember, she cashed in 2023, she cashed in her Money in the Bank at SummerSlam and ended up winning the women's title. So and then Io and Rhea hugged each other after the matchup, though. And, listen, they've been great friends and all that, great colleagues. It was a heck of a match. So Naomi winning the Women's World Title will change the women's division on Monday Night Raw. What does this mean? How's Io and Rhea going to respond to this? We'll find out tonight on Raw. Well, that is it. That's all the time we have on this show. Next up is Tic Tac Doe, episode 2388 of the show. This is episode 2387 of Eric Lima Shenanigans from 1977. I had a great time at the Wellness City Festival. Hope you guys saw all the videos, and I will see you guys later. Until next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home. That is all for today's episode of the show. This is Mr. Announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E and do it for Bob Saget production, and in association with a Raving Bull for 3000 Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. See you later on the next episode of the show. Goodbye for now.